Success in the arts seems to be as much persistence as talent. And my inspiration, my Jewish inspiration for persistence was a guy named Jacob Cohen. So when Jacob Cohen was in his 20s, he wanted to be a comedian, a performer. He changed his name to Jack Roy. And for 10 years, he performed, he did stand up and got nowhere. I think apparently the last straw was when he was working as a singing waiter and got fired. So in his 30s, he had a family to support. So he sold aluminum siding all through his 30s into his early 40s. And in his early 40s, he also decided he wanted to give showbiz one more try. So he changed his name from Jack Roy to Rodney Dangerfield. So in his early 40s, he sold aluminum siding during the day, and at night he performed in the Catskills. And he still wasn't having much luck, wasn't getting much respect. And then at age 46, he got a break. He got onto the Ed Sullivan Show and he knocked it out of the park. And that led to gigs in Las Vegas. He was on Johnny Carson all the time. And eventually he was in movies, Caddyshack and Back to School. And you pretty much know the story from there. So as a writer and performer, I've been doing this for about 10 years. And at times I get frustrated, a little depressed. You know, book sales may not be good, or I'm doing a show and there's very little ticket sales. And then I think back to Jacob Cohen, Jack Roy, and Rodney Dangerfield. And he was at this for 35 years. And for 10 of those years, he had given up completely. So I find Rodney an inspiration. As far as Judah mentioned, my book's been called Raunchy. And I have three sources of inspiration in the Jewish community for my raunchy material. And the first one is Philip Roth. One of his early books was Portnoy's Complaint. And when the book came out, you know, everybody was offended and it was misogynistic, and it got panned, and then it didn't. And the book is a significant book. I found it raunchy and hilarious. And actually, when I was pitching my novel, God Bless Cambodia, when I was pitching it to agents and publishers, I would describe it as the personal journey of Eat, Pray, Love meets the romantic frustration of Portnoy's Complaint. Another inspiration for raunchy humor is an author named Sam Lipsyte, Jewish author. And he's, I don't know how he gets away with the stuff he gets away with. One of his short stories, there's a discussion of the licking of a colostomy bag. This is a religious event, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But Sam Lipsyte's short stories are in the New Yorker. They're in Esquire. He's had at least six novels published. His best known one is called The Ask as in asking a question. His most recent book is called Hark, as in hark. Very funny. If you like raunchy humor, don't miss Sam Lipsyte. And another inspiration for my raunchy sense of humor is my mother. So we're New York Jews, so we're all about the bodily functions. That's the funniest thing we can think of. You know, it doesn't matter what age in the family, anything to do with bodily function, hysterical. So when I was a kid, whenever my father would go away for business, my mother would take me to a movie. Mel Brooks was one of our favorites, so I think some of you know where this is going. So we were the first online to see Blazing Saddles, and we get into the theater, we're watching the movie, and about a third of the way through the movie, I look at my mother, she looks at me, and we're like, ah. And then halfway through the movie, there's a scene, a bunch of cowboys sitting around a campfire, they're eating beans, and more beans, and my mother and I thought this was the funniest thing we'd ever seen. And actually on her 75th birthday, I gave the toast, and I'm up on stage, there's 50 of her friends and family, and I talk about what a wonderful mother she was and what an inspiration, and then I played the video of the bean scene from Blazing Saddles. Everybody appreciated it because they know my mother and they know her sense of humor. One other influence actually was my mother's mother, my grandmother, Tula Rosenhirsch. And she was kind of an influence as far as colorful language. So she was a German Jew. Her Yiddish was Metsuyan. And there were three phrases that, or three words that kind of stuck in my mind. They're all clean. They're all clean. This is a religious event. The first one was vertutzt. Anybody know that one? As in, vertutzt in the head. That neighbor that keeps driving his car across our front lawn. It's vertutzt in the head. Another one is hegdish. Anybody know that one? Hegdish. Okay, so hegdish is kind of a crazy mess. So you would use the word hegdish if you were describing like a rotary down on the Cape during the middle of the summer, the hegdish. And finally, Vildachaya. Anybody know what a Vildachaya is? Oh, we got a few. Okay. Okay, so that was, so I had three younger brothers. And so it's four boys, and a typical day, we're running around the house smashing things and making each other cry. My grandmother would often come over to visit. And at some point during the afternoon, one of us would run by her. She'd grab us by the arm and say, "Hey, quit acting like a Vildachaya." And for you, those of you who don't know, a Vildachaya is a wild animal.